Hello, and you're listening to the Book Was Better podcast, the podcast where we talk about the book of the film. I'm Luke.
I'm Jessica.
And this week we're talking about Baby's Day
Out.
Out.
Put down the popcorn and turn on the light. It's gonna be alright, my friend. In the end, take my hand. Trust me, the book was better.
Jessica is back. How are you?
I'm sick. I'm sick and I'm soldiering through it. But if I sound a little stuffed up, I'm not at my best, but I'm going to do my best.
Oh, there we go. That's all anybody can ask for on this podcast is that we do our best. And really, with a book such as this, a story about a baby going absolutely apeshit bananas in the big city, there's no other person that knows anything about babies than you.
That's true. And this is basically my parenting style, so it works out great.
I expect you to really dig into this book and check its veracity, see how plausible these things are, if there's any of these experiences that really hit home for you.
Today's going to be more of a parenting podcast than a comedy podcast, really. It's going to be hints and tips and tricks. It's going to be talking about my experiences. I'm going to talk a lot about my birthing experiences.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And how that impacted me on a kind of a psychic level.
Yeah, and often we talk about the photo section. I'm glad you brought along your own photo section here of the birthing. I'm looking at some blown up pictures here, and
most of them are midwife's eye viewpoint. That's where I had the videographer and the photographer focus.
He really has Grug's eyes, doesn't he? It's just they're just a little bit more covered in blood and mucus here. But yeah, absolutely wonderful. So baby's day out. I mean, this is ironic because this is your day out away from a baby, right?
Yeah, that's true. Very true. And I've been walking into traffic all morning.
You've been on the construction site, climbing along a girder.
Cuddling up to a gorilla. Spoilers!
Well, you did marry him.
Nice one.
Whoa!
Good burn.
Set it up. Dunked it in. Because people, I should say this, because what I'm realising through people on our Facebook page, things like that, is that there are certain eras of the podcast. There are fans that have never gone back into our archives.
Oh, big mistake.
Yeah, I mean, there's 30-odd episodes
That's
there
the good stuff.
of you and I. Well, I'm sure it goes both ways. I'm sure there are people that have left because you left and they said, okay, well, this isn't what it was anymore. I'm out.
Fair
and
enough.
now there are people that don't even really know about that era. And what I found is a lot of people's first episode of the newer wave was Lizzie. It was Lizzie that got them in.
Lizzie's the new Jess.
A lot of people say, oh, Lizzie was the one that I heard first. But so if people don't know, Jess, 30-odd episodes, and then cruelly, selfishly left in order to have a small human being.
I was struck down.
Yeah, by pregnancy.
Yeah.
God said, you there, bam, threw a sperm lightning bolt down, got you pregnant, and, the rest is history. And now... you're back, though, and that's the main thing.
I'm back every now and then,
So now it's just like, you can imagine you blacked out for 100 episodes, and back here we are again.
Yeah.
So, Baby's Day Out. 2 authors here.
Yeah, that's... I don't know if have we had that before?
Yes.
Okay, bugger. Ron Fontes and Justine Corman. This book, I mean, honestly, you can just about... It's about less than a finger's width. How did it take 2 people to write this piece of shit? Did Ron fuck it up so badly Justine was brought in to clean it up? I mean...
Well, I did look into the backstory of these two. I've got a bit of a bio here, which is from Goodreads. Justine Corman is the author of over 600 children's books.
Holy shit.
Including mega-selling adaptations of Disney hits like The Lion King, plus her original popular Grumpy Bunny series for Scholastic. While an editorial assistant at Golden Book, she met her future husband and partner, Ron Fontes, an artist in the Whitman's comic department who moved on to Mighty Marvel Comics. When Justine started getting freelance writing assignments, Ron pitched in.
Oh, Ron pushed his way in.
And a children's book writing team was born. Ron brought visual storytelling, theatre, and history. Justine, enthusiasm,
Not really.
humour, and a straight A attitude.
What the fuck does that even mean?
I think it's a-hole. A lot of a-holes in this book.
So what Marvel stuff did he work on?
No idea. I should look that up, right? Let's say Moon Knight.
Yep, that sounds about right. Wow, that's kind of adorable. So basically, after dinner one night, they've had a couple of glasses of wine. They're like, we got to get this fucking Baby's Day Out written. That's, we're getting $200 cash for this. We've got to get it done. And they sat down and banged it out.
I reckon she's there working and he just, he's got a bacon sandwich in one hand. He's eating it. He looks over his shoulder and he goes, oh, honey, that should be Y-O-U''. And she goes, oh, Ron, you're right, as always, and puts it in. And that's how he gets his name on the book. That's my theory.
That sounds about right.
Okay, so Baby's Day Out. Let's get into this thing. Now, you didn't see the film until
after.
read the book?
I always read the book before the film, and because it's more surreal that way. Because if you've seen the film, you fill in. And I think that's what most people do when they read in novelization. They fill in. Whereas if you haven't seen the film, you realise how awful the book is and how crazy some of the shit you read is going to be.
You have to take it at its word, don't you?
Exactly.
Okay, so that happened. All right, well, if you say so, book.
Exactly. But this time I decided, usually I just turn to the photo insert, have a look. I decided to try to cast this without looking at the photo insert, see how well I did. Or more to the point, how well the authors have done in describing these people.
Now, I knew a little bit more about it, so I want to play this game too, but I'll cast the modern reboot.
Excellent.
So, Christmas 2015, Baby's Day Out 2.0.
All right. So, let's start it. 16-month-old Bennington Austin Cotwell IV wriggled with pleasure as he heard the familiar words. Oh, I guess these words that were above the words I just read.
Yeah, well, she's been out of the game for a while.
They're italicized and bold, and for some reason I thought that meant they didn't matter. Do you want to read them?
I know, they're right under a picture, and I think once you bold something and italicize it, it may as well be another picture, right? It's just a little bit too fanciful. One fine and sunny day, Baby Boo's nanny, Henrietta, said, Baby Boo, today you shall go on a wonderful adventure.
16-month-old Bennington Austin Cotwell IV wriggled with pleasure as he heard the familiar words. Bennington was far too cute to be called by his full name, so everyone called the lively little boy Baby Bink.
Which has nothing to do with Bennington, Austin, or Cotwell, or the number 4. At that moment, Baby Bink was snuggled in a soft terry cloth sleeper sitting on the knee of his pretty young nanny, Gilbertine. Her crisp white apron smelled of laundry soap and starch. Her shiny, honey blonde hair smelled of shampoo.
I appreciate knowing what things smell like. You don't get that a lot in novelizations. You don't get the smell.
I think it's a perfect opportunity to put some scratch and sniff stickers into the book.
But honestly, I just have to say, if you're going to go out of your way to describe smells, you can do better than her clothes smelled like stuff you wash clothes with and her hair smelled like stuff you wash hair with.
Yeah, and what about the name Gilbertine?
Yeah, that really honestly bothered me. Like, I was like, are these people doing 19th century cosplay? Bennington's nanny is Gilbertine?
And if that's the case, why doesn't the smell stick with that theme? Like, most things in the 19th century, she smelled like death and excrement. Love it.
And you have no idea about what she looks like, except that she's blonde.
So therefore, I'm casting Scarlett Johansson. I know I'm biased here, but she has nanny experience. I did watch and read her nanny diaries.
Yeah,
so
right. You read her diaries?
Well, I read the opening titles on the screen. I read the title, The Nanny Diaries.
And you also wrote your own version.
I should do.
Your own /fic version.
Yeah, the Fanny Diaries.
Oh my God.
Okay. So, Baby Bink greeted the day as he always did by hearing Gilbertine read his favourite book.
Yeah, I'm calling bullshit on this. As soon as he wakes up with a wet nappy, after not eating all night, they sit down and read. No.
So already the veracity of this book is in question.
It's bullshit.
How about this description? The short round maid.
So I'm imagining Ms. Pac-Man. That's the only image we get of her.
They do describe the big red bow in her hair, which was the only thing she was wearing. Bing was a trim, handsome man with a firm jaw and a fine head of dark hair.
Man, the way he talks, though, I just can't help imagining him with grey hair. He really comes across as an old codger, don't you think?
This is my serious casting here. Like, as soon as I'm introduced to this character, I'm thinking Ty Burrell.
Oh, that would be perfect.
Yeah.
That's really good.
He's the guy. He's
that
the
would be
dad.
really good. Yeah. All right, excellent. So Bing is the daddy of Bonk?
Bink. Bunk.
Yeah, Bink's dad is Bing.
Have a bonk, you get a bink.
Cute. Everything is fucking perfect in this breakfast scene. A cup of perfectly steeped English breakfast tea, perfectly brewed coffee, his perfect young wife.
See, this is where you can tell that Justine is doing all the work, because if this was a male novelizationist, they'd also describe her perfect breasts.
Lorraine's perfectly groomed dark hair fell to just below her delicate jaw. Her clear ivory skin contrasted prettily with her dark eyes. I'm imagining Phoebe Cates.
Oh, I like to imagine Phoebe Cates. It's been a little while since Phoebe Cates has popped up in something. Or
in your self-cast imagination.
Popped up in Phoebe Cates. I'm gonna cast Mary Elizabeth Winstead. That's my first thought. She's a classy lady too.
Yeah.
She can play rich.
Sure.
I bet she smells really good, not just like soap and shampoo.
So, despite everything being perfect, they have a fight about who to hire as a baby photographer. Is this what they mean when they say first world problems?
Is this something you had to think about when the baby...
We came nearly to blows.
Yeah.
About who to photograph our baby.
Yeah. Because Instagram is pretty big leagues these days.
Yeah. As it turned out, it was everyone's iPhone. But yeah, to get there, we went through many, many different candidates.
You had to be like, whose iPhone?
Exactly.
Whose has the better resolution? Whose is more updated? Whose has got more stuff already stored on it?
Whose iPhone has my mum's thumb featured in every photo? Turns out to be my mum's.
Who's got the Instagram like details all ready to go inside their phone?
Who's doing the work? Who's doing something other than just choosing Valencia every fucking time?
But this was before Instagram, right? So
apparently,
this was a big deal.
So Lorraine's problem with the family's usual photographer is that his pictures are never in the paper. Already, I hate these people so fucking much.
Lorraine struggled to keep the impatient edge out of her voice. Willie hasn't had a photograph in the newspaper in 20 years. That long? Bing asked. Time went by so quickly. One had meetings, golf, tennis, vacation, parties, more meetings, and on it went. Tiresome, really, most of it. And yet one bore up as best one could. Stiff upper lip and all that.
Being rich doesn't make you British.
I think Americans think that anyone who knows more than 30 words and can arrange them in a sentence is British.
Also, like, that long time went by so quickly. How old is this guy supposed to be? Like, he's been aware of what babies are in the paper for the last 20 years?
That, before the internet, that's what you did.
I'm imagining him at this point as like one of the guys, the kind of actor who would play the snob in a Snobs versus Slobs movie, the kind of guy who's the president of the country club, basically.
Why isn't there just a movie called Snobs versus Slobs? Why not just say what it is and just embrace it?
So Lorraine has hired downtown baby photographers, which is the most shady business name I have ever heard.
Now let's get that diaper off and take some shots downtown.
No. Moving on. And this is really kind of interesting to me. Like, is this how people shared baby photos before the internet? You put them in the newspaper?
Poor old us, she cried. Everyone we know has had their baby's picture in the paper. Bink's over a year old and he's virtually unknown. I can't count the number of times I've been asked why we're keeping our baby a secret.
Is it just me or is that nuts?
Extra, extra! People are having babies! Fat ones, bald ones, fat ones, ugly ones, bald ones. Look at all these horrible babies! Maybe there were baby society pages, like these pictures of babies gadding about at milk parties, parading around in the latest plastic pants.
But at that moment, Mr. Charlie of Downtown Baby Photographers was tied to a chair in an abandoned factory. Rough ropes pressed against his navy wool blazer. Oh, this isn't going where I thought it would. The embroidered patch in his breast pocket showed a smiling baby. But Mr. Charlie wasn't smiling. The frightened photographer was gagged. Parked outside the factory, the downtown baby photographer's van was painted with a big smiling baby. Inside were Mr. Charlie's assistants in their fuzzy mohair sweaters. On the chest of each sweater was an embroidered smiling baby. But Mr. Charlie's assistants weren't smiling either. They were scared. Yeah, I get it. People aren't smiling despite being surrounded by a logo featuring smiling. It's very ironic.
Ironically, the audience is not smiling at this point either.
So anyway, the business has been hijacked by thugs. Meanwhile, Bing forgets he has a baby. Absent fathers are hilarious.
Now, to be fair, they would not be in this mess if Mother hadn't forgotten her pill. Yeah? Let me read this one.
Oh, you go ahead.
My pride, my joy, my son, my heir. Oh, this is the man. My pride, my joy, my son, my heir. Bing punctuated each exclamation with a kiss on baby Bing's smooth forehead, his smooth brown head. That's a callback. Gilbertine inwardly flinched at each my. The nanny knew that deep down her employers were good people and even good parents, but she couldn't help wondering if they ever saw baby Bink just as baby Bink. Sometimes, Gilbertine thought, he seemed to be nothing more to his parents than another possession. My car, my designer handbag, my baby.
Well, that seems like the kind of deep-seated psychological problem that could only be solved through therapy and hard emotional work, not through a set of hilarious hijinks. I guess we'll see.
I want a second opinion. Let's consult a gorilla.
Gilbertine looked at Bink's mother and said, I see a lot of babies with blue eyes and blue outfits. What kind of babies? Lorraine demanded. Gilbertine's forehead wrinkled. Sometimes she didn't understand Mrs. Cotwell at all. Lorraine continued, pretty babies, rich babies, regular babies, important babies. Gilbertine was not sure how to reply. Regular babies, she answered softly. Baby Bink isn't a regular baby, Lorraine said firmly. Yeah, Baby Bink bathes in the blood of regular babies. He eats regular babies for breakfast.
I thought she meant that he hardly ever shits. Like that he's too rich to shit. And that Gilbertine has to do, like, all of his shitting for him.
Okay, back to the thugs.
The leader's name was Eddie Mauser, and he was quite sure he was smarter than his younger companions in crime, Norby LeBlanc and Vico Riley. But unfortunately for Eddie, that wasn't saying much.
Norby LeBlanc?
Screenwriting 101.
I am definitely casting Eddie as Joe Pesci. That's who I was imagining right through the book.
My reboot, I'm going to put in John Turturro.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Man, you're making a really good film.
Yeah.
So he's flipping through magazine and newspaper articles about the Cotwells. I guess his favourite craft is exposition or scrapbooking.
No one can blame him. The last article in the file was about the downtown baby photographers. The baby photographers to the rich and famous. That's us, Eddie thought smugly to himself.
Thanks, Ron and Justine. I'm still a little confused. How about we write, Eddie thinks that's the company whose employees we just tied up and whose uniforms we are currently wearing so that we can do our crimes. For some reason, all the thugs put on fake moustaches and beards and glasses and wigs. So I'm imagining Norby as Steve Buscemi and Vico as Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Okay, I'm going to do Jason Schwartzman.
Oh, I like it.
And Channing Tatum.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's the big, the big dumb one.
This is a much better film. So Eddie rings the doorbell, thinks the butler is the owner of the house. This is not in the movie.
Eddie had never seen anyone so dignified outside of the movies. British movies, obviously. I'm actually surprised he didn't think he just stumbled upon the secret lair of Batman. Or Butler!
The entrance hall looked just as it had in the photographs, but nothing had prepared Eddie for the sound his shoes made on the black and white Italian marble floor, or the sweet aroma that rose from a gigantic bouquet of fresh flowers clutched in a priceless antique vase. Yeah, Eddie's from the mean streets. He's never smelled a flower before.
I believe he was birthed in a nest of Twinkie wrappers and discarded pizza slices. You really think we can pull this off? Vico asked. Eddie snapped sarcastically. No, I'm here because I got curiosity about the electric chair.
Oh my god, they're going to murder the baby once they get the money.
There'd have to be some sort of electric high chair.
I literally looked this up on Wikipedia. You don't get the death penalty for kidnapping. He is definitely planning to kill this baby.
For pretending to be a photographer. Otherwise, I'd have been dead long ago.
Ron and Justine get into the baby's head. It's actually pretty tedious.
Baby Bink wondered where he was going. He hoped he was going to the zoo.
Fuck's sake, he's 16 months old. if he even has thoughts that would be recognisable to us, they'd be more like, oh, everything around me just started moving. Oh, there's that shiny thing again. Holy shit, here's my hands. Oh, I can put them in my mouth. They taste like hands. This is fucking amazing. Oh, there's another shiny thing. Oh, I can't reach that shiny thing and put it in my mouth. I'm filled with rage. I'm screaming. Oh, now I can't remember what I was screaming about, but I'm still filled with rage. Oh, shit, here's my hand. I wonder if I can put it in my mouth. I wonder what it tastes like.
Spoken like a true parent. I actually thought a lot about this. I was thinking about this even before I started reading the book, that the whole book should be written first person from Baby's Bink's perspective. Took a little shot at this. Prologue. I am Bink. I am Baby, a fat, beautiful baby. I do not talk. I do not reason. I eat. I shit. I cry. I laugh. I am instinct. I am chaos. They want to cage me, tame me, dress me up. I cannot be tamed. I am wild. They cannot contain me. I hear the call of the city. I must go there. Nothing can stop me. I am Baby. I am a fucking crazy little animal. Wouldn't that be a great book? Like, all from his perspective.
I think you should be writing little golden books.
I think I should. Inside were three men who didn't look like anyone Baby Bink had seen before. The men did not look like the sort of grown-ups who would play with him.
Yeah, this is Baby Bink's first exposure to the working class.
They smelled like cigarettes, malt liquor, and fast food farts.
Lorraine smiled her automatic cocktail party smile. She was only slightly flattered by Eddie's words. Lorraine knew she was beautiful and did not appreciate the hired photographer making such a personal remark. He was a very odd-looking man, and she wondered vaguely if he was one of those artistic types from downtown. She knew that many strange people lived in the city, and that strange people gravitated to the arts. One had to endure their sometimes odd behaviour if one wanted to purchase the fruits of their labour. I feel like Ron and Justine's only knowledge of rich people comes from 19th century novels.
Well, Lorraine's no detective. She hires downtown photographers and then wonders if the photographer is an artistic type from downtown. It's in the name!
The book really gives her a hard time. She is awful in the book. She's a bit sort of clueless and thoughtless in the movie, but she is a real cunt in this book.
Gilbertine thought these men were very strange. She had a cousin who was a downtown artist, and although he wore berets and black clothes and funny eyeglasses, he was nothing like these men. Her cousin's eyes were gentle and dreamy.
I guess Ron and Justine's only knowledge of artists comes from 1950s beatnik comics.
Plus, this guy does have a prison tattoo on his throat that says baby killers, so that's always an alarm bell.
So, the hijinks, of course, begin with the first foot to the crotch.
And if you watch this on Blu-ray, one of the special features is you can get a little graph in the corner that maps the declining testicular integrity. It starts at 100, goes all the way to 0 by the time the credits roll.
This possibly has the worst balls punishment. If you're listening and this is your fetish, ball punishment, you've got to watch this movie.
But don't you think that's kind of symbolic? You've got a baby that is actively trying to destroy men's opportunities to have future babies.
Yeah.
So is he like self-loathing? Is he just like wanting to survival of the fittest? He wants to be the only baby in the city?
Yeah,
I don't know
right.
what it is. But
like babies make you too tired to have sex and make siblings.
Yeah, they're like, we don't want any other babies
No more
around.
babies. I like it. Okay. This, oh no, wait, where am I? Okay. So this really creeped me out. Eddie asks for time alone with the baby so he can like bond with him and take a better photo. Here's a good parenting tip. If a strange dude wants to be left alone with your child, don't leave him alone with your child.
I just want to loosen him up with a little wine.
Oh, it's so disturbing. And this is a scene that isn't in the movie, thankfully. The baby vomits all over Eddie. It's classic.
Eddie's thoughts were interrupted by a sudden and violent eruption beneath his fingers.
It's happened to you a few times, hasn't it?
Hot and gooey, keep going. Gushed from the rich baby's mouth. Eddie tried to stay cool, even as his nostrils filled with the sour smell of baby spit up.
The way this is written nearly made me throw up. It's very evocative. It's really great writing.
Where is the most interesting place or scenario that a baby's ever thrown up on you?
No lie. 2 days ago in Woolworths, he was in the trolley and he choked on a mini muffin and then threw up the entire mini muffin into my hand. And I had to hold it cupped in one hand while I searched through his bag for a little bin bag and baby wipes.
When I was younger, my cousin was about 1 and I was holding him up. I was laying on my back, holding him above my head, and he threw up on my face.
Yeah, they'll do that.
Yeah.
They'll do that.
Norby, remember Norby? Yeah. Norby slapped the side of Vico's head. Bink saw the slap and laughed.
Yeah, baby Bink may be rich, but the usual toddler favourites make him happy. Clocks, birds, watching two thugs slap each other around.
Well, what rich person doesn't want to see poor people injuring each other? I actually thought this was the biography of the guy who started bum fights.
Eddie turned another page of his newspaper and settled as comfortable as he could in the lumpy chair. Soon he would have a real chair with an automatic footstool, just like they're advertised on TV. But first they had to pull off the plan. Yeah, dream big, Eddie. He
would do anything to get together those 3 easy payments at $59.99, just out of his grasp.
This is one great line that's in the movie and not in the novelization. Eddie tells them to change the baby's clothes into, like, normal baby clothes because, quote, that fruit suit's a dead giveaway.
Whoa.
Such this with Grug, and he's like, did he just call the baby gay?
Better get me a fruit suit. Lorraine pulled herself out of an ocean of regret, long enough to greet the man who flashed an ID badge in a cheap leather wallet. Special Agent Dale Grissom, Federal Bureau of Investigation, the man said in a low voice. He looked tired and impatient at the same time. His summer suit was neatly pressed, but it was obviously not an expensive one.
Now, I guess since we're seeing him through Lorraine's eyes, we're getting the details she notices. She's really coming off as an elitist asshole.
I didn't think he looked that bad in the film. I thought he was cutting a fine figure.
Lorraine had never known this feeling before. The pain in her heart was as sharp as steel. She no longer cared about herself. She didn't give a hoot what she looked like. If someone told her that all the clothes in her closet had just turned to dust, she couldn't have cared less. If they'd told her that she'd never had a credit card or go shopping again, Lorraine wouldn't have blinked an eye. Her mind was empty except for one thing. Baby Bink!
At least it wasn't Jar Jar Binks.
I know this is meant to show how this tragic event has made her reassess her priorities, but seriously, we're meant to feel sympathy for someone who needs her child to be kidnapped in order to put him above shopping and clothes?
Following the flock, Bink crawled across the grimy roof. He stopped at a dirt-smeared skylight at the foot of a brick chimney. Bink pulled himself onto the raised skylight and peeked down through a broken pane of glass.
You know, reading about a baby miraculously escaping certain death is a lot less exciting or adorable than seeing it.
And this neighbourhood is totally fucked up. Maybe Bink's going to be a porcupine or syringes by the end of this thing.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Eddie leaned out to see the baby. Tipped up by Bink's weight, the end of the board slapped Eddie under the chin. He fell down hard. And this is the point where I realised, because this is written by John Hughes. This is a John Hughes joint. This movie is Home Alone, except none of the injuries are caused deliberately. So it's like Home Alone, but less entertaining.
Well, you had a 3-film contract with the studio, and that included this and Home Alone 3. And both this and Home Alone 3 were big flops. And I just wonder, why didn't he just combine the two and make a prequel to Home Alone called Baby Home Alone, about baby Kevin McAllister being left home alone and having to make intricate, baby traps.
Well, or why not a film where an adult is home alone and a gang of baby thugs are trying to get in?
Oh, even better.
And he just defeats them by beating them up.
Yeah, because they can crawl in all sorts of small spaces.
Exactly.
I guess it starts when he hears crying and he opens the door and there's a baby in a basket with a note and he's going, oh, what have I done? I'm a bachelor man. I go out and drink. I've gotten some woman pregnant, but there's even more babies in the basket and then they all come out. It's like a little bit Gremlins, maybe.
Yes.
Remember the kitchen scene in Gremlins?
Yes.
Yeah, baby
exactly
in the microwave. Tickets sold.
Eddie dropped between two buildings, then landed with a thud on an old woman's air conditioner. The woman looked out of her kitchen window and dropped her spoon. Wow, Ron and Justine really know how to write action.
Breathtaking, heart-stopping, spoon-dropping. I think that was on the poster, wasn't it?
I love the moment where you can feel the writers really losing interest. Eddie dropped through lines of hanging laundry, past TV and radio antennae, and smashed into more air conditioners.
I always find it's really synced with the point where the reader's losing interest as well.
Yes.
That's where I feel the real connection to the author.
He hadn't felt this bad since his last knockout in professional boxing when he took that left to the temple that sent the mat rushing up to meet him. So Ron and Justine add some background that seamlessly blends with the action by being just as boring.
The hit was so hard that he nearly dropped his spoon.
I wondered if there's some editorializing here. Eddie squinted, not believing what he was seeing. No, it can't be, he reasoned. How could a baby get down from a roof and onto a bus all by himself? Who's I couldn't remember his name, the novelization writer who's super passive-aggressive.
Oh, Peter David.
Peter David, yes. If he was writing this, he'd be way more passive-aggressive. Eddie stared at the baby on the bus. Why, he thought to himself, this situation is so blatantly improbable, it verges on insulting to the intelligence.
I like the authors that justify it as well. Like, you know, not only would he have read a story about a bus, but we would have got into the fact that the bus driver is going through a messy breakup and has become a raging alcoholic, and he's just in such a dark pit of personal despair that seeing a baby on the bus is like the least of his problems at this point. He's like, a baby on the bus, thought Eddie, and spiders on the ceiling and snakes in my pants. And this made me think, do you remember in Ghostbusters 2 when Slimer drove the bus? And I thought, what if this was that bus and the baby got on and Slimer was the driver and the baby and Slimer just stared at each other like for the rest of the film, wondering what to do.
Cutting between the two of them, getting into more and more close-up.
Yeah.
It's just going between their eyes.
Both kind of resentful that the other has stolen their thunder.
But here we do get the glimpse into the mind of an extra. Classic novelization technique. Carl, the bus driver, whistled a happy tune. So far, his shift was going well. Passengers had deposited exact change in the slot. No one had been mugged or gotten sick or needed directions translated into Latvian. No water mains had exploded. They even give him an ulcer.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I want from my bus driver.
Whereas in the movie, he's just like a gleeful psychopath who sees the van chasing him and he just speeds up, which I don't think that's how buses work.
Well, sometimes.
So Baby Bink falls into a bag of clean laundry, is carried off by a fat lady who beats the shit out of the criminals.
And I thought you were going to say beats the shit out of the bag. I thought later on it would be like, did you throw something red in with the whites again? Everything's gone pink.
Jesus Christ. Okay. He crawls into a department store. That's, the next thing that happens.
Had to happen.
This is so weird. There's a creche in the department store. Is that a thing? I can't imagine that going well. Like, it's run by teenage girls, and Bink crawls in, gets his nappy changed, and crawls out. If he can get out that easily, why isn't the road in front of the store littered with the corpses of run-over toddlers?
They hide all the bodies in the ball pit, filled with skeletons.
They do it a bit, in the movie it makes a bit more sense. He's, like, picked up, put in there, and then he hides in someone's stroller to get out. It's just ridiculous. The whole time we were watching this movie, I kept yelling at the screen, like, no one in this movie has any peripheral vision. They was walking to manholes all the time. No one can see anything that they're not directly focused on.
It's Back to the Future 2 syndrome.
Yeah. You guys are worthless, Eddie wheezed. His bruises pulsed with pain. He felt like he'd just gone 10 rounds with 2 heavyweights packing lead in their gloves. I'm getting sick of your insults, Vico groaned. His back felt like elephants had been using it for trampolines. See, why did they stop there? I want to know what Norby's back felt like. I think we should give it a go.
Yes, we have prepared these.
Norby's back felt like he'd been chained to a rock while an eagle pecked out his liver.
Norby's back felt like his spine was made of cookies and his body was the Cookie Monster.
Norby's back felt like a heavy metal band and their groupies had used it as an orgy mattress.
Norby's back felt like it had housed a moo-moo sale at Walmart.
Norby's back felt like he'd been doing data entry without an ergonomically suitable office chair.
Norby's back felt like it was lined with testicles and bombarded with bowling balls. All over the city, people heard the news and felt concern for Baby Bink. A worn-out, grey-haired man watched the news from his front porch. Roger Baines saw the picture of adorable Baby Bink, and it gave him an idea. While he listened to the rest of Ronnie Lee's report, Roger looked up his street to a group of children playing at the curb.
Oh my god, Roger's going to use parts of those children to build his own Baby Bink!
He's going to shave their heads and saw them off at the knees and make a lot of new Baby Binks. Or a baby centipede.
Oh, that's just upsetting.
Well, that's a good idea for the third one.
Okay, so a reporter is live in front of the department store. Bink crawls into the cord. Okay, in the movie, he actually crawls between the reporter's legs without her noticing. That's a fucking wide stance for reporting the news.
Well, you know, you never know. She might be a bachelorette lady and go out and have a lot of drinks and drop the occasional baby when she's not expecting it.
So Bink crawls into the cord, yanks the microphone away, and the camera follows it. So the crooks see it on TV. But apparently the camera crew and the reporter ignore the stray baby while they're doing a report about a missing baby.
John Hughes.
They just get back to work while the baby crawls into a fucking taxi.
Yeah, but did you see Nightcrawler? The media, it's a total joke.
Okay, so Roger Baines cons the Bing Bang parents into giving him cash for info. So he's clearly supposed to be a scumbag, and in the movie he's more of a scumbag. But I like how Ron and Justine actually focus on his just resentment at the huge gulf between rich and poor in America.
Roger suppressed a smile as Bing reached for his wallet. These folks had dollars piled to the sky. Why shouldn't Roger Baines take a few off the top? He'd never even seen a $100 bill before. He didn't recognize the man whose portrait was printed on the face. Bing pulled another crisp $100 out of his wallet. Roger wondered bitterly if the man always carried so much cash. I could probably live for a year on what this guy spends on golf clubs, Roger realized, scooping up the bill. What, is he a socialist? Does he want everybody to have equal stuff? I'm going home and opening up my gun safe.
I think Roger and Justine are rabble-rousers.
Yeah. Blacklist.
So, this is the moment where Lorraine and Bing first meet some poor people for the first time in their lives. Lorraine was dimly aware of the stale smell of cooked cabbage, dirty diapers, and smoke. Her designer sneakers jogged past empty bottles, junk food wrappers, and cigarette stubs as she raced up the worn stairs.
And ironically, we've just described the film's target audience.
We've just described your house.
Ah! Until now, Lorraine's idea of a bad apartment was one suffering from the effects of an unfashionable decorator. Of course, Lorraine knew there were poor people. She read newspapers. She had been to countless fundraisers and even organised a few herself. But Lorraine discovered, as she looked into Mrs. McRae's weary eyes, poverty was more than a word. Poverty was people.
Wow.
People who lived in places like this. Children like baby Bink.
I love the idea that rich people are assholes because they don't actually understand what it's like to be poor, instead of being assholes because they don't give a shit about what it's like to be poor.
Been reading a lot of literary quotes at work lately. And
That's quicker than reading books, I guess.
Yeah, my favourite author, Tom Robbins, said, "The rich are the most discriminated against minority in the world. Openly or covertly, everybody hates the rich, because openly or covertly, everybody envies the rich. Me, I love the rich. Somebody has to love them. Sure, a lot of rich people are assholes, but believe me, a lot of poor people are assholes too, and an asshole with money can at least pay for his own drinks."
That's beautiful.
Love it!
So, amazingly, this scene of poverty and need isn't featured in the photo section. Speaking of which, Lara Flynn Boyle, that's not who I was picturing at all for the mother.
I know, when the opening starts and Lara Flynn Boyle is one of the first names that comes up, you're like, when does that happen?
Yeah, who is she going to be? And then this is what I wrote in my notes. What's her name from West Wing? Josh's assistant. Donna, haha, still sharp as a tack. She's pretty much exactly what I expected for Gilbertine. Turns out I was tripping balls. It's Miranda from Sex and the City with blonde hair and, in the movie, an English accent, which is so bad. It is so painful.
Yeah, I didn't even pick that it was Miranda.
Oh, it is such a painful accent. It's awful. And the dad is some young Hancy boy. It's not at all my mental image. Way too young.
Hancy boy. Come on, are you a Nancy boy or a Hancy boy?
Right. Is that not a thing people say? Is that just in my house?
Oh, it is now.
And one of the bad guys is Joe Pantoliano, which seems about right.
And Chaz Palminteri as well. Is he in it?
I don't know what his name is, but he's the guy who does the voice for the mafia guy in The Simpsons.
A lot of Italian Americans.
And he actually is very enjoyable to watch. I enjoyed him. Well, he's enjoyable to hear his voice because you could just close your eyes and pretend it's Fat Tony. Okay, so meanwhile, the lady with all the bundles gets out at the city zoo. That makes no sense. She's been buying presents for the animals. Who goes to the zoo after going shopping?
Bags are full of peanuts. Gotta go feed those elephants.
And everyone just runs into the zoo. Seriously, what city has a free zoo? And we're watching this, and Greg said they should charge to cover the many, many lawsuits they must get.
And the zoo, did you know this film cost $50 million?
Oh, jeez.
It's was the most expensive film at the time, which didn't have a big star.
Really?
In it. And
because they went through so many babies filming it?
But they built all these sets, like the construction site, the zoo and everything on sound stages so that they could manipulate everything. Yeah. And the zoo just absolutely reeks of that, doesn't it? It's like a big set, it's a big room with these empty cages. Mm-hmm. I noticed, at least when you watch the film, you realise that the gorilla sort of has that suggestion that, there's a big jungle area out the door behind him, even though he's in this tiny little barred
It's like a 1920s zoo. It's terrible. They're like in cells, basically. Okay, so Baby Bink continues to not get run over and killed.
Eddie was stunned. It just couldn't be. There was no logical explanation for it, and yet, if Eddie had asked Mrs. McRae, she would have told him someone, somewhere watches over the babies.
Well, that explains why no babies ever get hurt or die.
In history. I can't explain this, though. Saint Philomena was the patron saint of babies, infants, and youth. And I quote here, "Little is known of her life, and this information was received by private revelation from her, martyred at about age 14 in the early days of the church." So, much like the teenage girls of the creche, she lets the occasional one slip by.
Okay, this is really disturbing, and this happens a very different way in the film, and it makes more sense. But in the book, someone notices the stray baby and finally does something about it. But this is the taxi driver, he calls his dispatcher instead of doing what any normal human would do, which is run over and pick up the fucking baby and call the police. What the fuck?
This is America, Jess, come on.
And now the baby's in the goddamn gorilla cage. I really have to question the design and security of a cage that a baby can crawl into.
Yeah, see, I read that idea in the book, but then in the movie, human adults can crawl into these cages.
Yes, they can put their arms right into it.
Put their whole, but like a gangster can put his whole upper torso into the gorilla cage.
I was kind of surprised at how good the gorilla was. I thought the gorilla was pretty okay. Apparently, is it Henson?
$50 million will buy you a pretty great gorilla.
And of course, buy you a gorilla that could hit a crook in the nuts with a mop handle.
This book is a real side splitter. Scrote splitter.
And finally, we get to see inside the gorilla's mind. I think this might be a book was better first.
First time inside the mind of a gorilla.
Oh, sweet.
First, the small furless apes had taken him from the jungle. They had tossed him from one cramped prison to another. But today, one of their young had wandered into his cage, and to his surprise, the gorilla had found the infant sweet and gentle. Being with him was like being back at home among the trees with the younger brother and sisters. The innocent infant was the perfect symbol to exact his revenge.
And in the movie, he's asleep, and then they wake him up, and then he gets mad. In the book, he's pretending to be asleep, waiting for them to try to do it. And I was telling Greg about this, and he's like, "Why would you do this?" I was like, "There's a whole backstory. He hates humans. He's full of resentment and rage. Trust me."
I gotta say, I'm not usually one who compliments babies' acting, but the fact that baby appeared to be with that big gorilla and had a smile on its face was pretty impressive.
That baby was super happy to be with that gorilla. That was actually pretty fucking cute. I enjoyed that.
And actually 2 babies.
Who knows how many babies, really, in the end.
It's like Milo and Otis.
I thought this was actually a pretty great line. This is probably the best line in the book, I think. Eddie's face met the cage bars. Actually, they didn't just meet, they were suddenly married in a touching ceremony in which both partners dissolved their identity completely in union.
That, if you can write 600 books and still churn out a little zinger like that, I actually have respect for you.
As we've established, after dinner and a couple of glasses of wine.
I reckon that the rest of the book's all Justine. I reckon this is pure Ron.
Oh, nice. Okay, this encounter raises a lot of questions for me.
The mommy saw baby Bink. She stopped and smiled. "Where's your mommy?" she asked. Bink crawled away, his mouth puffed in a pout. The woman watched the baby go. She hoped he would find his mother soon. As she walked away, the woman remarked to her child, "He wasn't a very happy little boy."
Oh, well, Not my problem. I'll just watch this baby crawl away and assume everything will go right for him. Nothing I could possibly do to help this situation.
You want everybody to be raised in a nanny state. This baby was born in America. He is exercising his First Amendment baby rights to do whatever the fuck he wants.
Meanwhile, Lorraine is getting guilty.
Her mind had been churning and churning over the same thoughts. She wanted to share them with Bing. All the best things about having a child, we paid others to do for us.
Yeah, that said, they also paid people to do the worst things, so I think it probably evens out. Yeah, we didn't get to cuddle him. On the other hand, I never got shit on my clothes, so meh.
My fingernails are clean.
Okay, this is really creepy. And I thought this has to be something that just happens in the novelization and didn't make it to film. Surely, at some point, someone said, we can't put this in a family movie. This is not okay.
John Hughes does what John Hughes pleases.
So the crook is hiding Baby Bink under a jacket on his lap while the police are talking to him. They're in a park.
This is a really long scene in the film.
Yeah! Go ahead.
Bink explored the dark world beneath the jacket. His little fingers reached between Eddie's legs and squeezed.
Oh, Jesus. Here's a good tip for your family movie. Don't have a small child touch a man's balls.
Yeah, look, the longest nipple he had ever seen. It smelled a little funny, but Bink was hungry, so he latched on and went for broke.
Jesus Christ. And then he lights Eddie's dick on fire. And the cops are entranced by the delicious smell. They're saying, oh, barbecue. Their mouths are watering.
Weenie roast.
Okay, so that having and that's a super vicious scene, by the way. Did you get that far into the film?
Yeah, no, I did. And his entire crotch gets set alight, and then there's that bit where he takes off the jacket and all the flames leap up and lick his face. I thought he was going to be dead then, and there was going to be two crooks from then on.
And then the big crook, he pushes him down on the ground and stamps the fire out. He seriously stamps on this guy's crotch until the fire is out. It's pretty full on. Okay. Okay, so then, I have to say, we've skipped a bit in our notes. Then somehow Baby Bink ends up in a construction site. And this is what Justine and Ron had to say about that. Baby Luck saw Bink through an amazing series of near misses and high-altitude hijinks. Unfortunately for Eddie, Norby and Vico, that kind of luck, the only kind of luck crooks have is bad. So they've just given up even bothering to write out what actually happens.
A baby did some stuff and beat some bad guys. It all worked out.
It's funny because when we were watching the film after the zoo, I was like, oh, okay, the movie's nearly over. Because the book was nearly over. And it's a fucking half an hour of bullshit on the construction site.
Yeah, no dialogue. While Baby Bink landed smile up, no matter how many girders he rode, Eddie and his partners slammed, flipped, flopped, tripped, dropped, and banged their way from one disaster to the next.
They might have well just written, just see the movie. It's not really very interesting when it's written down.
And have you ever seen an old Mr. Magoo cartoon? It was a lot like that, but less plausible.
Man, this is where it gets super dumb, like even dumber than ever before. So the FBI guy comes to the mansion and he's reporting all the places that, he's telling them about all the places a baby has been reported. Gilbertine's slumped shoulders suddenly straightened. This all sounded very familiar to her. Bus, department store, park, zoo. Okay, so first of all, they're suggesting that Baby Bink is deliberately going to these places in this order.
Without Google Maps.
He's doing everything in the book, Gilbertine explained excitedly. Relief flooded through her like sunshine. I know where he is.
This is John Hughes' big revelation here, but I totally knew this was going to happen.
He's gone to the fucking old soldiers' home because that's where his favourite book ends. Sign this kid up for junior Mensa because if a 16-month-old can figure out where a retirement home for soldiers is and how to get there, he's not just a genius, he's a freak. Also, why hasn't anyone in this home called the police about the stray baby? They're just sitting there singing to him.
America. Baby's got just as many rights as an adult has. Come on.
But we've got to tie up the loose ends of the baddies who are still
rich
out
and
there.
white.
He can go wherever he wants. So they get the baby back, and of course, Lorraine's got her baby back for 5 minutes. She's already had enough. What was she thinking?
Lorraine stared blankly at the billboard. Why did children have to be so confusing? Why couldn't Bink just ask for whatever he wanted in plain English? Lady, you are living in the wrong country for plain English, let me tell you.
Should
Alright, the ending.
we read the ending? And this is one of those things where I was like, oh, this is a dumb ending that they were maybe going to do, and so they chucked it in, ended up in the novelization, but surely they came up with something better by the time they filmed it.
Oh, no, I know about this.
They did not.
Lorraine and Bing stood in the nursery door, gazing fondly at their son. Finally, they switched off the light.
Good night, sweetheart, Lorraine said softly. She could not believe all this had happened in one day. She felt as if she'd lived a lifetime since greeting baby Bink that morning.
Good night, Bink, Bing echoed. It seemed like he couldn't look at the little fellow long enough, but the baby needed his rest and they did too, so Bing quietly shut the door.
Alone in his nursery, Bink crawled to the end of his crib and reached over to his bookshelf. His chubby fingers grabbed a book.
Baby Bink's adventure was finally over, or was it?
By the moon's soft silver glow, Bink feasted his eyes on the cover of the pretty book. The book cover made Bink smile, even though he could not read the words. Baby's trip to China.
I believe this was the planned sequel.
Oh, gross.
It'd be even better if he reads the book and then he, just crawls out, gets on a plane and goes to China.
And just smashes crotches all the way through China.
All along the Great Wall.
What a fucking piece of shit.
Lucky they didn't read, a fantasy book, Where the Wild Things Are or something. Never seen again. And that was Baby's Day Out. So I've got to ask you, Jess, as I always do, was the book better?
No, the movie had a baby in it. And even though it was really super dumb, it still had a baby in it, and the baby was pretty cute.
I will also go with the movie just for that epic scene of crotch destruction. Unparalleled. There's only one review on Amazon, believe it or not.
I do believe it. I believe it completely.
I saw the movie and wanted both for my grandson. Right now we read to him. I'm looking forward to watching the movie with him. All one sentence, no punctuation. This is the person that's in charge of the grandson's literacy.
Yeah. Do you read to him or do you just describe what you can see in the pictures?
I saw the movie and wanted both for my grandson. Right now we read to him. I'm looking forward to watching the movie with him.
So she also read the book before watching the movie. Interesting. That's bizarre.
But on Goodreads, this is a very short review. It's all caps. This is one of my favourite reviews of a book that I've read. Ready?
Oh, wow.
Baby, you just rock! And the U is the letter U.
And then it's followed by, a bunch of periods.
Yeah.
It's yep, that's it. That's all I got.
Drop the mic.
That's amazing.
And, at the end of that, after reading Baby's Day Out, after reading that epic adventure, I kind of have to agree. Baby, you just rock. You rocked it, baby. Oh yeah. So there we go. Wow. That was excellent.
That was it.
Where's your baby right now?
Who knows? The zoo, I think.
Somewhere at the zoo.
I think.
A lot of construction happening in Perth.
Something like that. Look, all I know is he punched his dad in the crotch and walked right out the door.
I love it. So look, thank you everybody for listening. Please support the other shows. There is Monday's FP Cast, official podcast, Fruitless Pursuits. Jacinta and I talk movie reviews and news. And Thursdays is ScarJo A Go-Go, the podcast where I watch every Scarlet film in chronological order.
Who listens to that?
People do. It's amazing. No, that's you know how people say that I don't do enough literary stuff in here. That's my film school one. That's where I really analyze those performances. Really get in and talk about female roles in films, the influence a director has, all those sorts of stuff. Really love doing that.
I haven't even listened to it because I thought it would just be so she comes through the door and she's super hot and she's
no.
top.
See, and there's a word for that. That's the Scarlett Brohanson viewpoint. We don't do that. Always totally respectful. It's not about a private life. It's only about the work, and it's about analysing the performance and watching that evolution, seeing the sort of echoes through, seeing who uses her well, who doesn't, why things work, why things don't. That's totally respectful. I don't objectify her at all. It's just and I think you could do it with any actor as well. I think it's a really interesting thing.
That is interesting because on this podcast, let's get meta for a moment. You have a certain persona that you often slip into of, being a dick.
Yeah.
To put it technically. So I kind of assumed that, ScarJo would be...
No, I think if there's a movie that I really just think is a ridiculous waste of time, like pick on it and hammer into it and make jokes about it in the same way I would one of these books. But it's never at her expense because, I mean, it's not, apart from maybe deciding to do that role. But even then, there's usually a reason why I think she's chosen that role. And that's something I talk about every episode because, you know, some of the horrible roles have had really great directors or teams or other actors in there. And you think, why wouldn't you go, yeah, I'm going to work with the director of Scarface or something like that? Or the things that are real shit are directed by someone who directed America's Funniest Home Videos. Or something like that. So you know what I mean? And I think audiences don't really think about sometimes that relationship between the directors and the writers and what they actually bring to it. And it's been interesting, like, watching her work with Woody Allen for 3 times, for example, and just seeing what a horrible job he's done with her at times. You know, someone who's supposed to be his friend. And with the last movie I saw with her, every time she had thoughts and emotions and dilemmas, he had her just walking around or riding a bike while an anonymous male narrator said what she was thinking over the top. And you think, like, you are just completely robbing your friend of a performance. It's crazy. So, yeah, I get to do all that. I'm up to He's Not That Into You, which is 1 movie away from the first Black Widow appearance. So I'm getting towards the pointy end of all of this. So, yeah, do listen to that. There's probably a lot of people out there that have a feeling of what this thing might be, but go and check out an episode if you're unsure. If you're curious. All right, so thanks so much for that, and rate reviewers on iTunes, and please go to www.fruitlesspursuits.com where you will find links to all of this stuff, plus our Facebook discussion group where we would love to hear from you. A lot of plugs.
Yeah, it is so gross in this room. It is so hot and humid.
Yeah, well, I'm going to put the air conditioning on. So thank you, Jess. Thanks so much for coming back.
Thank you for having me.
Sharing your expertise. Always a pleasure.
And if you are a new listener and you haven't gone back and listened to those, do. They're absolutely, definitely the best. Much better than anything that was done without me. I think we can all agree on that, right?
Well, the thing is, these are really... what I love about these episodes, if we're going to get meta, is that you actually do a lot of that. Okay, so then this happens and this happens and this happens, like linking stuff. With the guests, I very, very rarely, with the exception of probably Lizzie, I'm doing all the bridging.
Right, okay.
And it's really nice, like that dynamic when it's you and I, that's shared.
That I do more work.
In this instance you did, yeah. But then that's how it was. Like, this was your idea. I mean, if people don't know, Jess is the person who came up with this idea. This is her baby. This is her podcast. And, yeah, you would come in, you would do a lot of that bridging work and then make your joke. And then I would get to make, like, my dumb joke afterwards. And I'm getting to be, like, funny sidekick person as opposed to driver. And now when I'm driving all the time, it's a different dynamic.
Basically, I gave birth, and then after a few years, basically, this sort of 3 Men and a Baby style, I was like, hey, it's your turn. I'm off. I'll come and visit the baby every now and then, but really it's your problem now. It's
my problem, yeah. I shouldn't have got drunk that night. That's the one other thing I've got to plug. Next week's book was better. Our good friend Xavier from Something Joystick is returning. He hasn't done a show for a while, so I'm really excited about that. Very funny man. And we are doing Super Buddies, which is movie, direct-to-DVD film about all the dogs that are superheroes. Yeah, can't wait for that.
One of the many buddies films.
Yeah, it's probably one of the better ones. I wonder
how many buddies they've been through.
There's space buddies and all sorts of stuff.
But I mean, literally, how many buddies?
Yeah.
Like, do they just feed the last film's buddies to the current film's buddies to give them their powers?
Acting powers, yeah. So I look forward to that. All right. Thanks again.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
You want to say the thing?
Catch you on the flip.